going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Fighting Vikings are set to take on the New York Football Giants Week 1, MetLife Stadium, blah, blah, blah. Sam Darnold returning to his former home stadium, of course, him with the Jets. But the Vikings released their official depth chart this week. I don't know. These are always funny because they're never obviously official. Like, hey, why is this player in? Because it clearly says that he's farther down on the depth chart. No, it's ridiculous. But teams have to put them out for whatever reason. They're not accurate. They're like the old school personnel packages, as well as usually they're put together by someone in the information department and the communications department. So I don't know, whatever. But it is kind of interesting. And all these, like, deference is usually shown to the veteran, but I don't know. So quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, backup QB2 Nick Mullins for the time being, as well as Brett Rippon. Also, no practice squad players are listed, which is kind of funny. But Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler as your 1-2 at running back. Now, Jones listed as starter. I think this is going to be more of a 1-2 combination than people think, even though Chandler, yes, is going to be serving as a kick returner. But I think this is going to be like a 60-40, 65-35 type split. Fullback CJ Ham. When are they going to announce the captains? Actually, they'll probably announce that at some point today, right? Probably. Wide receivers, Justin Friggin, Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Also, Jalen Speedy Naylor. Brandon Powell listed as the 2 reserve receivers. Naylor as wide receiver 3. Tristan Jackson and Trent Sherfield as the 3rd team. Now, the way that Brandon Powell has talked about how his impact is mainly going to be on special teams, I actually do think that, obviously depth chart unofficial, but if the Vikings did get to a wide receiver 4, I think it would be Tristan Jackson, because I think Jackson is a more traditional full route tree receiver. Powell, certainly has upside, but is more of a niche gadgety type offensive player. So I think that if a 4th receiver was put in, I think that it would be Tristan Jackson, maybe even Trent Sherfield, specifically in run blocking situations. Then the rest of the offense. Starter, Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt, Nick Muse as the backups. Now, like I said, like this is like old school packages. It's a spot where if the Vikings are in 2-minute drill and they have 11 personnel, so 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers, I think Johnny Munt would be the receiving tight end because that's the way the split was at the end of last year after Hockenson went out. So, it's a spot where, depending on game script, I think Johnny Munt could outsnap Josh Oliver in a given game if the Vikings have to be in a throwing mode. Tackles, Darrisaw and O'Neal, and also Rouse and Quisenberry. Now, I do think that if a tackle had to go in, knock on wood, hopefully not, Quisenberry would be the swing over Rouse. So I don't think it's like position specific, because I think the veteran who has come in for Darrisaw and O'Neal is better suited right now to get some snaps in on both sides. Interior offensive line. So I think this is just left to right on the from the depth chart. Brandel, Bradbury, Ed Ingram, Juergens, Feeney. Now, I do not think that Juergens is ahead of Dan Feeney. I think if someone had to go in for any of the 3 interior offensive line spots, it would be Diamond Dan Feeney, the mullet, the Moulet man. Next, defense. So outside linebackers living on the edge. John Grenard, AVG as your starters, PJ2 and Dallas Turner. They list it like that, but I think that Turner is going to outsnap Jones every single game this season. Also, you got Hottie Ward as the 3rd line guy, but also he has versatility all over the place. Defensive line, Tillery, Phillips, and Bullard, like we expected. And then LDR, Taki Tamani, and Jalen Redmond. Basically, that's how it would break down. And also, all 3 of those reserve defensive linemen bring something different to the table. So it isn't like a straight up depth chart for those 3. Inside linebackers, I think this holds up. Cashman and Pace as the 2 starting inside linebackers, and then Kamu Grugier-Hill, and then Brian Ospa. Yeah, I think Grugier-Hill is clearly linebacker 3 in this situation. Also, I still have this conspiracy theory that Coach Hat Week 1 is going to have Grugier-Hill kickoff instead of Will Rockard, having an extra tackler out there and someone who can put it in the kicking zone. But who knows? Lastly, so cornerbacks wise, you got Gilly. So Gilly and Murph are listed as the starters, and yeah, if the Vikings are on their base defense or goal line, those could be the 2 corners. But realistically, it's going to be Gilmore and Shaq on the outside, round the outside, as well as Murph in the slot. Interesting that Moreau is listed ahead of Evans and McLaughlin, but again, like we said, I think that's more of a veteran getting the time of day. But also, if a fourth cornerback had to come onto the field, it's probably going to be Moreau. But I guess you never know. Safeties wise, again, these are like the old school breakdowns. Like, well, you have 2 corners and 2 safeties, blah blah blah. But of course, we know that the Vikings, the top 3 safeties are starters, and all 3 of them play over 1,000 snaps. So Harrison Beasley, Metellus, Theo Jackson, and Kariyama Jayward-Son. Specialists: Ryak Hurd, Ryan Wright. Hopefully he won't be wrong. DePaula. And then kick returners: Ty Chandler and Brandon Powell, like Coach Hatt talked about. Now, Coach Hatt is going to deploy 2 returners in a split formation to be able to cover all that ground with the new kickoff rule. So starter backup is really immaterial. Miles Gaskin would be the 3rd kick returner. And then punt returns: Brandon Powell, incumbent from his job last year, as well as Jalen Speedy Naylor, which is interesting because Naylor didn't really turn many punts at Michigan State. But anyways, that's a look at the official Vikings depth chart. Now, obviously, does this matter? Not particularly, but it is interesting to see how the Vikings PR department sees the team heading into the season. So there you go. But your thoughts are thoughts. Let us know, comment section below. You guys know what to do. Skol, production value.